I'm Matt Williamson. How's it going? Things are good here. Starting to get chilly, starting to feel like football playoff type weather. Steelers need to start playing like a playoff team. And who knows? Maybe the addition of Asante Samuel can help them get there. I really like this move. Now, elephant in the room. This guy just had major spine surgery. Well, didn't just have, but it was, by the way, a Steeler doctor, he's employed by the Steelers, that did the surgery. So if anyone knows the most about it, it's definitely the Steelers. And maybe that influenced Samuel, why he chose here. I mean, he went several different places before coming here. And maybe every one of them said, you failed a physical, we don't want you. Or maybe or we could look at it like a lot of people wanted this player. Either way, he is now a Steeler. They are apparently very comfortable, especially considering the investment, which is nothing, in the back situation. But I really wanted to spend this podcast talking about what you might be getting in Samuel. So maybe all this is for nothing, and he gets out on the field and just can't move or can't take contact or whatever. I am not a spine surgeon. But I can tell you what he was before the injury. So he was a 1,000-snap guy his first couple years with the Chargers. No real serious injuries, nothing of the sort. And then 4 games in last year is when he was injured and hasn't played since. Now, the league might not look at it this way, but experts, people like myself that do this for a living, that would build their top 50 free agents, back in February or whatever. He was on every one of those lists, like not top 10, but he was on every one of those lists. And this is one of the best corners on the market. Now, apparently nobody knew it's going to be a while for him to come back. And we'd be like, well, if he, you'd read those write-ups and be like, well, when he returns from injury, et cetera. So again, I'm done talking about the injury. But what he is a smaller, he's like 180 pounds, maybe 185. We'll start with the negatives. 5'10-ish in that neighborhood. So he's a smaller outside corner. He has been criticized, rightfully so, of not being a great tackler. And he really is not, he's certainly not built like Trice or Porter with the length and the height and all that stuff and, wide shoulders and all that. But he is not a predominant man coverage player either. Of course, like every corner, he does both. But he's much more of a zone guy than a man guy. So those are the negatives. Surgery. Size. Zone heavy. Not a great tackler. But back to the tackling, he's not bashful, though. He's not just out there making business decisions. I don't want to tackle. No, he's just not great at it, and he's not super strong and thick and, get Derrick Henry to the ground. But he is physical. And his dad played in the league, as you probably know. And he plays the game the way you want to. And especially from the neck up, he is very intelligent, which is why he excels in zone to some degree, in that he understands route concepts and when to jump it. And when teams high-low him or whatever, he knows where to go and what offenses are trying to do to accomplish against him. And again, caveat, asterisk, when he was healthy, he breaks on the ball really, really well. He's got good ball skills, attacks the ball in the air, again, plays an aggressive nature through routes and playing the ball. All the things you want to see in that regard. So, great. To me, how can it hurt? And I was talking to Chris just a couple hours ago, and I hadn't put 2 and 2 together. I mentioned, I'm sure he won't play this week, Chris. What do you think? He's like, well, Kyle Duggar did. Maybe. He's on the practice squad now. You could promote him just for this game and do that for several weeks before you even put him on the regular roster. So maybe he plays this week. You're going to need all your help you can get at corner against Chase and Higgins. But either way, I'm not going to expect that. But I love picking this guy up for next to nothing. And frankly, I'm not so sure that, again, I don't know what version we're getting, but he might be their second best corner, especially if they're going to be zone heavy, which I think that at this point, going man heavy, that experiment probably failed. And I think the Bengals game will be really telling in that regard, because it was pretty clear that they could not play man coverage against those receivers. So if you get less blitz, more zone, flooding the zones, get a lot of people to the ball, I think that's how they're going to want to play. Better safety play now, obviously, with Ramsey and Duggar. So I think there's a lot to be said for this. And I urge you to check out yesterday's podcast. I talked about the defensive backfield, not knowing that Samuel was in the mix. And I don't know when Samuel will be in the mix, but it wouldn't blow me away if at some point this season, Samuel and Porter, both of whose parents or fathers played in the league, are your starting corners, and Slay gets relegated to a bench role, and Pierre, who I mentioned is playing better, is a special teamer off the bench guy, and Eccles is your slot, which is better than what it sounded a week or two ago. So I'm all in favor of it.
Football season's finally here. Time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Think the Steelers are headed to the Super Bowl? Lock in your bets today. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials, so you can join in on all the action.
For those of you who are doing real work in construction, in a warehouse, if you're a mechanic, if you want reliable, comfortable gear to help you perform well on the job, Brunt Workwear's got you. They have waterproof boots, safety toe, soft toe, pull on, or lace up, whatever you need. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know any other brand doing that. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. And for a limited time, our listeners get $10 off. Just head to bruntworkwear.com. That's bruntworkwear.com, and use our code DK Sports, all one word, all caps, DK Sports, and you're good to go. After your order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them it was from my show. Thank you so much. All right, so speaking of corners and Chase and Higgins and all those things, this is going to be a real challenge, as you just saw a couple weeks ago. I mean, how about this? The Steelers have allowed a league high 194.1 receiving yards per game just to wide receivers. Opposing wide receivers rack up almost 200 yards every game on average against the Steelers. I mean, that is really, really bad. And, oh, by the way, since Flacco became the starter in Cincinnati, Cincinnati's wide receivers are averaging 231.8 receiving yards per game. So if we split the difference and these guys, are somewhere in between, it's basically 200-yard games to Higgins and Chase, plus a little something extra sprinkled in. And Higgins had a nice game in week 7, 6 for 96. But he's also coming off his best game. The Bengals are coming off a bye, if you don't know. But his best game was the last one he played. He caught 7 for 121 and 2 touchdowns. He's averaging just under 81 receiving yards with Flacco. So he's on fire. But it's not even close to what Chase is doing. I mean, Chase has 90 or more receiving yards in 5 games in a row. I mean, in Flacco's 4 starts, Chase has been targeted 62 times. He has 44 catches in those 4 games for 457 yards. Leads the league in targets, leads the league in receptions. He's second in receiving yards. If you recall, he won the Triple Crown last year. He is a monster, and Higgins isn't far behind. So Yeah, I started the podcast excited. I am excited about Samuel. I think it's a great addition, especially get him for nothing. But as we saw, they're still vastly overmatched against these two receivers with competent quarterback play. And they're going to get theirs. Now, can you keep up is the other side of the equation. All right. I got to run. I will be back tomorrow, break this game down in much more detail, but I really wanted to hit that, especially with the Samuel news. Take care.